Peace and power, comrades. Babu Omawali, Truth to Power War Room. Just wanted to come to you and have a dialogue, man. Rap and see how everybody's going, see how everybody's doing. Let's talk about this war that's going on in America right now. The war for the hearts and minds, spirit, and souls of black men and women. Let me start by congratulating our sisters for some of the epic roles that they played in Hollywood, specifically in Woman King and in Wakanda. You are starting to see black women being displayed as warriors and fighters, not just housewives and servants of their husbands. That is a European philosophy. That is a European ideology that the woman is just a housewife and that the woman is just a servant of her husband. The black woman has been a warrior throughout time. And for some reason, we have a problem with the wording woman king. We have to understand that that is a English terminology, king. We can go back and we can look at our women from ancient times. Cleopatra was a pharaoh. Queen Candace, though we call her queen, was a ruler. So powerful as such that she stopped Alexander the Greek freak from crossing into southern Africa, as they had already pillaged Egypt and were looking for further spoils. Queen Nzinga and so many others, Granny Nanny, Harriet Tubman. Man, our women have always been warriors. So what is the problem with black men really wanting to subjugate black women to lesser roles in society? I can tell you this, man. We got to get in where we fit in, because it's never going to go back to the 1940s, 50s, and 60s where our women are just housewives, where they just clean up your house, where they just fix your food, whether they just take care of your children while you go off to work. We're living in a different time. We're living in a different culture where women are leaders. And as black men, we should nourish that and we should respect that. Now, that does not mean as a black man that you give up your place as head of the household. We still got to do what we got to do. See, black men, we got to work on ourselves. You know, how did we get in this position in the first place? How did the woman in some households transition from being in a position of servitude to actually being the leader of his house? Well, black men, those are questions that you have to ask yourself. One thing I can tell you is a high prison rate, homosexuality. There are so many factors that has making the woman take up the leadership role. And again, that's something that we should, I'm not going to say be proud of, but it's something that we're going to have to live with. But again, it does not stop you, the black man, from being the leader of your house. You have the power. You have the strength. And the black man is going to always be a king, but you got to deserve your spot. You got to want to be a warrior. You can't just sit at home and play Xbox or PlayStation all day and expect for a woman to have respect for you. You can't sit around and be high all day smoking dope, and a woman has to get up and go to work, and when she comes home, she's got to clean up behind you. Now, give it. let me make this perfectly clear. All black men do not fit this criteria. We have some strong brothers out here that are soldiers. We have some brothers out here that are getting up and they're going to work every day to support their families. I'm not speaking to you. I'm speaking to the ones that really hinder our progress. I'm speaking to the ones that don't have any motivation. I'm speaking to the ones that take our women through all kinds of trials and tribulations, but when things don't go their way, they want to get on Facebook, they want to get on YouTube, and they want to talk down on the black woman. Well, brother, you're the king. You're the king. So what role do you play in this? When I say high prison rates, we know it's a plan to put the black man in prison and to separate them from his family. But if we know this is the plan, why aren't we doing anything to change that narrative? If you know they're trying to put us in prison, if you know they're trying to take us away from our children, from our wives, from our responsibility, why do you still fall into that trap? See, yes, there is a war being waged against black men in America, but we have the knowledge and to understanding to see this war. So why aren't we fighting against it instead of being on social media and crying about the status of the black woman? We should be putting ourselves in a supreme position where we don't have to ask anybody for shit. We don't have to ask any ethnic group for anything. See, there's things that we've done before to help as far as finances or economics are concerned. The black man was the electrician. The black man was the plumber. The black man was the construction builder. We have always been the builder of this country. But somewhere during the process, man, we lost those standards. I'm going to directly point it back towards the time of crack cocaine and basically the dismemberment of the black family during the 80s and 90s. It all got away from us, man. And now we've got so much homosexuality going on, and we blame the black woman for that, for raising soft children and for allowing for the kids. Hey, man, she's doing what she can. Black man, what is your role in this? For the last time that I know of and what I've been taught, it takes a black man and a black woman to raise a child. But a lot of fathers are abandoning their families. They're having multiple children with multiple women, and they're not taking care of any of them, thus leaving the black woman to be the caregiver and responsible for your children. So yes, there is a war being waged on black men in America. But black men, we are almost responsible for what's taking place by not changing the narrative. And I say again, we know what's going on, man. We know what's happening. We see what's happening around us. But we're not doing anything to change those conditions. So let's stop making excuses. Let's stop blaming women for the role that black men play in modern society here in 2022 and beyond. Black men, we have to get off our ass, man, and whatever we have to do to regain the respect of our families, to bring our culture back into the home, that's what we need to do. We would rather get on social media and fight about religion, Jesus, Allah, Yahshua. We would rather get on social media and debate about that. We would rather get on social media and debate about ancient history, whether you're indigenous to America or whether you're indigenous to Africa or whether you're indigenous to the rest of the world. None of that shit matters, man. None of it. Why don't we organize on what we have in common? That we are black and that we have a common struggle in this country. See, we got to fight against white supremacy. That's a global fight. And we can only win that on a global level. And for me, the answer to that is Pan-Africanism. But you say African to some brothers, oh no, I'm not African. Oh, I was already in America. Okay, that's fine. But Africa is the common bond for all of us. Africa is the common denominator. There are more black men and women in Africa than there is anywhere in the fucking world. So you have to know that your melanin originates from that part of the world, whether you want to claim that or not. Hebrew Israelites, I mean, everybody's entitled to their own beliefs and religion and culture. But we got the Hebrew Israelites basically saying that Africans are not their brothers. We enslaved the Hebrews, you know. I don't know. I wasn't there. I didn't enslave shit. And I didn't enslave nobody. But if you're going from a biblical perspective, the New Testament is only 2,000 years old, something like that, I guess. Our culture and our history runs back thousands and thousands and thousands of years before the New or the Old Testament was even written, brother. There have always been slaves. And for an African to enslave another African is not too far-fetched. It's not too far-fetched. But to say that you are not an African because tribes were warring with each other on the continent. And we had choices. We had choices when we caught another tribe on our territory and on our land. We could kill them. We can enslave them, or starting around the 15th, 14th, 15th century, we could ship their ass off around the world. But you can't judge what those Africans did in that time period. You know, so we get on Facebook now and we want to be critical of what Africans did back then. Man, we can't judge that because we weren't living in that time. Were there some mistakes made? Of course. Were there some atrocities that took place? Of course there were. But there's mistakes being made now. There's atrocities being made now that we can be responsible for, but we refuse to do so. So going back to the whole homosexual ideology, we know the biggest threat to the white man is a black penis. I'm just going to be 100 with you, because a black penis can change the demographics of any ethnic group. It's going to darken that ethnic group. It's going to give them some melanin. And white folks want to preserve their race. So the biggest threat to them is the black men. So what do they come out with? LGBTQ. So let me say this, that I am not condemning anybody for their sexuality, nor do I give a shit. If you're a homosexual, you're a homosexual. That is the life that you choose to live. But as a warrior class black man, as a warrior, I understand the fact that every time we gain another homosexual male, that is another family that's not going to be able to procreate. And our race starts to eventually slip away over decades and over centuries. There are less black men and black women being born in this country. So number one is population control. And number two, it's a way to make less black men, so there's less opposition to white supremacy in this country and in this world. So they would like for all of us to be homosexuals, man. They don't want us creating any more black babies. So Hollywood is promoting the LGBTQ. You have people on social media. I mean, you can't say anything against a gay person without suffering the wrath of the LGBTQ community. And are black women responsible for that? Hell no. Hell no, man. Are black men responsible for that? No, we're not. But when you total it all up, black men and women together are responsible for raising healthy children. I'm going to say this and I'm going to get off this subject, but when you have two women living in a house together and they're raising children, what do you think the mindset of those children are going to be? When you have two men living in a house together and they've adopted children and they're raising children, what do you think the mindset of those children are going to be? See, a lot of you think that you're just homosexuals or gay or whatever it is you want to call it. It is your preference. Again, I'm not slandering that, or I'm not going against that. But what I am saying is you are programmed, man. You are programmed. And I'm going to even say this. Some people are born with a more feminine gene. I'm talking about men. They're born with more estrogen because you get estrogen from your mother and you get estrogen from your father because your father was born of a woman. So some people are brought into this world with more estrogen. Thus you have the little 3-4-year-old babies that walk funny, that talk funny. Some of us are programmed through pedophilia, being raped by those in our own household, being raped by cousins, being raped by uncles. You wouldn't believe the stories that I've been told by women who have been molested by their fathers, molested by cousins who comes to stay for a weekend or are displaced and the family gives them somewhere to stay, you know. And just to be honest, man, some of it is just fucking freaks. You know, and I'm not just saying the women, I'm talking about men too. You know, some of you just want to feel a certain way. You know what I mean? So, but we have to look at this homosexuality as a sexual weapon of war against our people. Now, again, this is my last time saying this. I'm not saying this because I don't like gay people. There are some beautiful people out there that happen to be homosexual. You know, am I going to go out and just spend a day with somebody that I deem is gay or homosexual? More than likely not, because I am a different class. But I do not promote any type of harm against anybody. I think everybody should be free to live their own lives. But there are many aspects of war, and this is one of the aspects that war is being waged against our people. First, separate the black man, separate the black woman from each other. Now we get into the homosexuality. Then we get into the high prison incarceration rate, where they're doing studies as far as in the third grade, they're doing studies on how many prisons to build based on your third grade test scores, man. So we have to be smart enough to understand what's going on in this country and in this world. White supremacy is at war against us. We are at war against us. And I am in really, I'm just, there's a fear, there's a phobia that we may never come out of this condition. I think it's really just going to get worse. Even, man, look at our music. Our music degrades us. Our music slanders us. You know, we call the black woman bitches and hoes. We over-sexualize. The women rappers are over-sexualizing. And our babies are listening to this shit, man. As far as the men, you're talking about killing and shooting other black men. Our babies are listening to this shit, man. And these goddamn industry moguls are putting insurance on you niggas, man. And they're killing your ass because you're worth more dead than you are alive, man. So I just wanted to have a discussion with my people from the war room, Truth to Power War Room, about the conditions that we face in this country. And what are we going to do about it? What is the answer? The answer is unity. The answer is protection. The answer is black men standing up in your rightful place as kings. Don't complain about the black woman being powerful. Don't complain about the black woman being the queen that she is, black man. You take your place as the king. You take your place as the head of the household. Just because she makes $100,000 and you bring home $60,000, that does not diminish your role as head of the household. You understand that America is more prone to put a black woman in a higher position because she's not a threat. America is more prone to put a gay male in a higher paying position because he is not a threat to the establishment. Black men, with your strength and your power and your needed brain power, you are the most powerful being on this planet. It is up to you to take your position as king again, especially in your specific household. So appreciate y'all giving me a chance to rap, man. If you like the content or you want to further this discussion, leave some comments, like, share, subscribe to Truth to Power War Room. We really need your help trying to get to our first 1,000 subscribers. So basically, we don't have to use a third-party streaming service to reach you. But I wish you peace and power. Abifodie, Ashe, and all of the African greetings that we use. Babu Omawale, Truth to Power War Room.